I'd like to call this meeting to order, the June the 25th meeting. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Bright Cruz?
Here.
Councilmember McKay?
Here.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Here.
Vice Mayor Fisickelli?
Here. Unfortunately, the mayor couldn't make it tonight. All right, we have the pledge of allegiance, please. I want to thank you all for coming. We're happy to see this many people.
Vice Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to excuse the mayor tonight.
Second. All right. The motion made and seconded. Okay, item C, we got our friend here.
No, we got to take
Rick Stark?
roll.
Did you have anything you want to talk to us a little bit tonight?
Vice Mayor, 1 second. Let Russell just take a roll call on that motion
You wanted-
for the
On the mayor.
excusing of the mayor's absence.
Councilmember Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Councilmember McKay?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisickelli?
Yes. Now we ready? Okay. Rick, I see you here. We're glad to see you.
No.
Now, you bring us up to date what's going on in Tallahassee?
Well, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be here. You know, I hadn't been here in a while, and I just originally was just going to stop in and say hi this evening, but did have a few requests to talk a little bit about what went on in our special session. And let me just turn around.
You can take that mic down and hold it.
Hate to not look at the audience, but we just, Tallahassee, we just finished a special session, which doesn't happen very often. This is the first one we've had in like 23 years, and we had a very unprecedented season. So I'm just going to give a quick update, and let me just go back and address you folks first. I served on the Transportation and Economic Development Committee, and we actually worked quite hard trying to get a few appropriations. If you've been following the news, and of course, sometimes I even need to be updated, and Keith Polikoff updated me just a while ago that unfortunately two appropriations that we worked on quite hard for you for the guardrail and the lighting project evidently are going to be on hold until the next session. So we're going to go and give it a try again. That's the best way I can put it. I'd like to, you know, be a little bit more down on it, but that's the best way I can put it. So we'll just, it'll be working on it, you know, for you again next session. But just to speak to the public, and the legislature in Tallahassee normally meets for 2 months of the year and has some committee weeks prior to that. And we normally meet in March and April, but beginning this year, every other year, we're going to start meeting in January and February. But for the first time, probably in the state's history, the legislature was not able to come up with a budget within our normal time frame. And the one constitutional duty that we're elected to, I mean, we have a lot of things that we try to, you know, we get appropriations for, which means basically, if you don't know what that means, appropriations just means money. So we try to get dollars for different projects within cities and towns that we represent. But, you know, there are always a lot of different issues, anywhere from, you know, health insurance, which was a big deal, criminal justice, water projects, you name it, every single thing we see up there. However, we have a constitutional duty to have a balanced budget when we leave Tallahassee. And this year, the Senate and the House and the governor could not agree on a balanced budget. So we had to leave early, and we had a special session. For the first time ever, we had a special session that lasted almost 3 weeks. As your state representative, I'm not particularly happy about it because we probably spent upwards of $1 million of taxpayers' dollars. It's very expensive for somebody like me and our other representatives here in South Florida to fly up. It's a 7-hour drive. So it's not something I really wanted to have to be able to do. I felt that we could have done this in much quicker time, but we did pass a $78 million budget, the biggest in the state's history. There were a lot of good projects in there, but I will say that unfortunately this week some of the things that we liked, which especially were money that we were going to have for Southwest Ranches for a few projects, did not, make it through the governor's veto. There was a try to expand health insurance to about 800 million Floridians that don't have it. That did not go through. But there were some good things. We're going to have a 10-day tax holiday this year for school supplies. Usually it's just a weekend or a couple of days. This year it's going to be a full 10 days. And the state did come through with about $450 million in tax cuts. So, there's always good things and bad things in the budget. For me personally, we have had gentlemen, I promise to be finished in just a minute because I know you have other business beside me. But Florida, we have been working very hard to become the best state in treating of our military who are active duty and our veterans. And I had a bill that helped the education process for veterans. Very often when veterans move to the state of Florida, if they're not here for a long enough period of time and they want to go to college after they've been finished with their military service, they cannot pay the in-state tuition fees in the state of Florida. So I had a bill passed that said that as soon as they move to Florida, they get the in-state tuition fees, and it applies to spouses and dependents. And the legislature passed it. We had no votes. It passed overwhelmingly. So at least, there were a lot of very good things. People can contact me anytime you want. Call the city, get my information. I'll be happy to tell you everything about the budget, everything that we had, the good, the bad, and whatever. And as your state representative, I'm looking to everything I can, to help the town of Southwest Ranches. Yes, Mr. Vince.
Did we get an exchange, the health exchange? Did we accept that?
No. This year, there was an issue with what's called Medicaid expansion. The Affordable Care Act said that states would expand Medicaid to people who don't have it now if they're earning upwards of 133% of the federal poverty level, which is about, I'm going to say it's, for an individual, probably about $17,000 a year, and, in the 30s for a family. But the Supreme Court ruled 2 years ago that expanding Medicaid was voluntary. So states like Florida, we don't have an expansion of Medicaid, and we don't have an exchange on our own online portal. So we didn't pass it 2 years ago. We didn't pass it last year, and then we had the special session this year to try to get it done this year. The Senate was in favor of it. The House was not, and in the end, it didn't get done. So we don't have an expansion of Medicaid here in the state, and we don't have a health insurance exchange. But the Affordable Care Act, if you are eligible, if you're down to 100% of the federal poverty level, which is $11,000 a year, you can get a subsidy from the Affordable Care Act to buy insurance. So if you need to know more about that, I'm happy to help anybody who needs to find out if they are eligible for some type of government subsidies for health insurance. That's for up to age 65. Answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Any more questions for Rick?
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rick.
And council members, if you have any questions, be happy to answer them. And if you need to move on to other business, I'm happy to answer them anytime you need me.
Any questions?
We're good.
All right,
for
thanks again,
coming,
Rick. We're always happy to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Next, I'd like to introduce a very good friend of all of ours, Kathy Sullivan. She's the chair of the School and Education Advisory Board. Kathy, I'm going to turn the meeting over to you at this time.
Would it be okay if I addressed y'all and them?
Sure.
You might want to take it out
Take
of
that
the
mic
thing.
out of the holder if you like.
Yeah.
They said I get to say something first, and most of you know that I'm not very long-winded. But this scholarship is something we're so proud of, and I think that a lot of people don't understand quite what it's about. So every time I get a chance, I want to stand up and tell everyone. The scholarship we started 4 or 5 years ago, and we're not a town of young people. We're really not. Our young people are growing, but we're a town of older folks, really. So it's exciting when we get our young people involved. And as you look across the country, all the different things happening, and young people rebelling and taking out in their communities, I'm so excited by the idea of making our kids give something to the community they live in, and then in turn turning around and giving back to them. I think it's a lesson in pride that you can't teach any other way and that will never go away. And it may be just such a little thing, but this is their community now instead of just where their parents live. So I'm so excited, and they have to do community service in a town-sanctioned activity. That is the major requirement for this scholarship. We didn't want to make it for just the brightest and the best, not that we have not certainly had so many of them, and we didn't want to make it financially based. We wanted it based on community service. We wanted that small town feel where our kids are giving to their community and we're giving back. So I'm so proud and so excited tonight, and I'm going to announce this year's scholarship winners. Some of them may not be here, but if you are here, please come up, and we're going to take your picture and then stay up here so we can get a group shot. And I'm sorry if I mess up your name. Kershani Haranath. Oh, this one's here. Raleigh McDonald. These kids had to write an essay, and they had to talk about how their community has affected their lives living here in Southwest Ranches versus living somewhere else in different cities. And I didn't get to see any names on them, but they let me read the essays, and they were so incredible, and it was so cute. We got goosebumps from everyone, and I just loved it. These kids had really honest things to say about our community. It wasn't just that they were writing an essay to get a scholarship. Every one of them was fantastic. Sierra Stevens. Congratulations. Oh. Stephanie Morris. Sage Sameta. Annalise Juin. You missed it. You were too quick. Annabelle Juin. Congratulations. Nice job. Dylan Hernandez. Deshaun Demetrix. Justin Ortega. Another big hand for them, please. They've done such a wonderful job.
Bob, we're going to bring council down
Yeah, after they're done with that.
and the board. Yeah. Kathy, we get the board in too after this?
Oh, yes.
Look this way and big smile. All right, guys, let's take a picture.
While you still have your cameras out, I would love to have the board up here, even though I really feel sometimes like this is my scholarship. It is not. I'm just proud of it. So we have a board that has worked so hard to raise this money. The town doesn't put any money in this. The town hall does not put any money in this. This is raised by your neighbors every year. So I would love to have the board come up and get their picture taken also. Town council?
So why don't we, the taller people in the back, the shorter around front, and that way we'll get everybody.
Why don't y'all get in the middle? Town officials get in the middle, and we'll kind of fill it.
You can't see the lens, I can't see your face. See the lens?
Now, next time you read about a scholarship fundraiser, this is what it's all about. Please come out and support us. We have a lot of fundraisers. Thank you.
You know, we were trying to get it, hey,
Hey, Chris, do you need me to move my car?
At this time, is anyone of the council members like to make a comment?
you know, I'd just like to say congratulations. Thanks very much for participating. We know how much hard work actually goes into that, and I'd like to thank the members of that board for their time, efforts, and getting this done and putting on the events to help raise the funds and stuff. So thanks very much. The other thing I'd like everybody to know and realize that all the money that's raised each year is all given out. So however many students divided by how much money is what that amounts to. So just so everybody knows, we don't hold back any money. All the money every year that we raise goes towards these issues. So we appreciate it. Thank you.
Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, just absolutely appreciate everybody's involvement. As you know, it's not only the kids that are involved, but it's also, you know, the community and all the donations and all the things that everybody gets involved with to provide the funds that can make this happen to all the people that are involved. So just everybody, it's a great community event from so many ways that really is appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I just want to say congratulations to all the recipients, job well done. And for the committee, your spirit and dedication lives through the students. I appreciate everything you've done. Thank you.
I want to ditto what everybody else has said. It takes a lot of time and everything in this. I know there's a lot of fundraising and everything. We thank you all for it done. Does the council want to accept the representative of the advisory board?
Absolutely.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Vice. That's exactly what I was going to ask you. I recognize it might be a little after the fact, but I wanted to ask the council tonight if you accept the recommendations of the advisory board.
Make the motion to approve.
Second.
All right, call the question.
Yes.
Councilmember McKay?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisickelli?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations.
All right, I want to congratulate all the students and Kathy and them for a job well done. Okay. Our next thing on the agenda will be Kevin Hart. I'm going to have our engineer introduce Kevin and tell you what's going on.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Fisickelli and council members.
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Take it out if you like.
Thank you. I talked to our town administrator a while back, and we had discussed with all of the projects we have going on in our community these days, and especially how those projects directly impact the lives of our citizens on the west side of I-75 and to some extent on the east side up to Volunteer. I invited Kevin Hart, District Manager of the South Broward Drainage District, whom I've known personally and professionally now for about 15 years. A good friend, a very respectable engineer, as you all know. I don't need to say much more than that. I would ask that Kevin is going to come up here and present to you a short presentation giving an idea of what we have done, what we are doing, and what we will do in the future. So, Kevin, if you would come on up. Thank you.
Thank you, Cleet, Vice Mayor, and council members. A pleasure to be here tonight to give you a brief update on some of the drainage improvement projects that South Broward and the town collectively have been working on over the past couple years. Talk about some current projects that we have going on now, and then talk a little bit as well about some future projects and future plans and just kind of conceptual ideas that we have on improvements that we can do into the future.
I'll advance for you.
Okay. Thank you. All right, first, just want to talk about some recently completed projects, and the first slide I have up is just an overview of our Basin 9 and 10, just to show you some of the improvements and some of the drainage features in this particular basin, which I'm sure everyone's aware of. I want to really focus especially on the intermediate gate structures that are shown there in the orange. These were put in about 4 years ago, and those were really significant improvements here for the town. Allows us to hold the water and lower the control water in the area the town of Southwest Ranches and maintain a higher control water level south of those gates. And those have worked very effectively. And I also want to point out a third gate or fourth gate down there at the very south end of the basin, and that's a basin interconnect between S9, S10, and our S4, S5. And that allows us to move water across the basin depending on conditions, depending on water levels, but we have the ability to move water from the north to the south to the C9 canal, and with those intermediate gates, we really have some options. We can hold water low at the town limits, move water from the Pembroke Pines area south, so it really is a big benefit for us. And last time I was here, I talked about a goal that we had for those intermediate gates. Those were put in under a pilot project, and our goal was to modify that S9, S10 basin permit and make these gates a permitted, permanent, year-round project. And we did that collectively with the town. I worked with town staff. We submitted an application to South Florida. We were successful. And we now have under permit, which is important, the ability to operate those gates year-round under the conditions of the pilot project. But as you may know, the pilot project was during the rainy season, and I think that's important that we were able to do that. And this past year, we automated the interconnect gate at the south end of the basin. We installed a motor, we put in a telemetry antenna, and we're now able to operate that gate remotely at our office on our smartphones. That's a real important improvement for us. In the past, we've had to send staff out there, normally in very serious weather conditions. We can now move water, open that gate, operate that gate remotely as part of our overall system, and I'm very pleased that we were able to do this past year. And I do think that's a benefit, big benefit for the town as well, because it just gives us so many options to move the water. And I'll tell you, just I know we're going through a little bit of a dry period right now, but it wasn't long ago when we had a high level of water in the C11 in South Florida actually asked us, can you open that gate and can you move water south instead of into the C11, because their conservation areas were reaching close to their peak level. And obviously we did that, and that's just one of the benefits that these gates provide us. These are some improvements that we've done in the Rolling Oaks area. We've replaced 2 culverts, and we've slip lined 3 other culverts where we've reinforced and added considerable lifetime to those culverts. You can see them in the yellow. They're also there in the orange. A few years back, we excavated and dredged out our lateral 3, and we're continuing to look for areas in Rolling Oaks where we can reinforce the existing culverts and continue to make improvements in that area. We also work with the town on a study as part of your drainage improvement projects on 195th and 196th Lane. We've done miscellaneous improvements to our pump station at S8 over the past several years, a number of good significant improvements. We've continued to do canal dredging within Southwest Ranches area, and in addition to Rolling Oaks, we've done other culvert cleaning and improvement projects. Currently, we are, right now, this project is under construction. It's just a small drainage project out on Southwest 205th Avenue, where we're putting a inlet down at this is the south limits of Southwest Ranches. There's been some drainage problems there in those areas, and we're now going to provide a positive connection there on the east side of the road. We're going to take it up to the intersection, and there's already a pipe that leads to the canal, and we're also going to make provisions where the property owners there on the east can tie in for a overflow into the canal, which is the key. Whenever we can tie properties into our canal system and our facilities, that's important, and that's going to give them the benefit of the discharge that we have into the C11. We just completed a joint project here with the town. This is part of your drainage improvement projects that just recently bid out. South Broward Drainage District cleared this swale area to allow the construction of the swale, and then there's going to be 2 inlets put on here right at the turn up there at 210, and a drainage connection into the south. This is a continuation of some other projects we've done on 210, very successful, and I believe this is going to be, you're going to see a big benefit up there at that intersection that floods out almost every time it rains. Another joint project that we worked on with the town is on Dykes Road. We're putting in a second inlet there at the canal that extends over to Dykes. This will double the capacity of discharge into the canal. South Broward did the design of this project, and we also did the permitting and coordinated with your staff on the bidding. And this should be done probably within the next 4 months, 4 to 6 months. This is a kind of a blow-up of S9, S10, just showing you some of the drainage features, our main canals, 12, 13, and 13A. And I just want to share with the council and the audience some projects that are coming up here. These are town projects, but just since I'm up here talking about drainage improvements, this is a project on 196 Terrace that's going to provide inlets and a positive connection into our 13 canal, where there's already an existing connection and outlet into that canal. And then further east and south on 63rd Street, again, another project that the town bid out to provide a positive drainage system into our Canal 12. That'll be just north of the control structure. And those projects are significant because, again, we're getting water from the streets, from the public right-of-way into our canal system. Future projects. This is a ditch liner project that we want to get accomplished. This is also out on 205th in the town of Southwest Ranches. This is a drainage ditch that we've been out. We've discussed with some of the property owners out there. It's hard for us to get to. It's difficult to maintain. And I've already done the design. We've already got it permitted. And the plan there is to put a liner into that ditch, which will help with the flow and really help with the aesthetics and clean up that ditch area. This is our Basin 8, and I just want to share with the council some of the plans and concepts we have for Basin 8. One of the projects that South Broward is going to be working on this next year is to modify our Basin 8 permit. This will require approval by South Florida Water Management. I'm not 100% sure we're going to be successful, but the idea is, as you can see on the map, we have our pump station there at 172nd, and we have 4 other gates into the C11. Now, these gates are not operated by us on a regular basis. We're not permitted to move water through those gates. They were closed a number of years ago, as I think council's aware. However, we do operate those on an emergency basis. And what we're going to propose to South Florida is to allow the district to operate those gates in concert with our pump station. So by permit, we're allowed to discharge a certain volume of water into the C11 canal. We won't increase that volume, but we could move water and not turn on the pumps through the gates. We still have to reach a certain level, and we're not going to deviate from our water quality and discharge limitations, but I feel that it would be a benefit if we had the ability to operate those based, again, on conditions. We could have high water level there on the east. We could open that gate, move water. We could run one pump and two gates. There's just a lot of different scenarios that we could do, but the point being, we would like the ability to have those gates tied into our operating system in addition to the pump station. And we were successful in something similar to that down into the C9, and that's something I want to review with South Florida and see if there's a possibility we could modify that permit in that regard. And then as part of that, and really even if we're not successful in that, I still think just on an emergency basis only, to have these gates tied into our telemetry and to give us the ability to operate these gates from our office, from our control center, from our smartphones, so that we don't have to send staff out and open these gates in serious, dangerous weather conditions. We can look at the water levels, and if there is an emergency situation, we can open the gates. And so our capital plan over the next 5 years, we would like to systematically put in telemetry and motors on all those gates. Some other long-term improvements for Basin 8. This has been on the planning level for some time. This is an interconnect from the Ivanhoe Canal into one of our central canals there in Basin 8. That yellow line represents an interconnect, would go through Calusa Park, Calusa Corners Park, and then under dikes, and then we would snake it through existing right-of-way and connect into our canal there. I think that's 164th, if I'm not mistaken. So we have submitted that. Your town staff, I shouldn't say we, the town has submitted that to South Florida as part of a co-op grant application. I think it scored high in the initial rankings. South Broward is part of that submittal. We would contribute to that, subject to board approval, but I think we'd get the support there, and I think that'd be an excellent project. Similarly, there's another connection here a little bit south that I think we could make. There's one small area there, and I apologize, my eyesight's not, I think that's 51st Manor or 54th Manor, where we don't have easement or right-of-way, but some of this would actually be part of future development, some vacant parcels that may come in for development. We could get some swales or drainage improvements put in and get part of this interconnect, and then maybe work on the balance. But the idea is to try to link some of these canals from east to west. This is similar. It's not east to west. It's north to south. That's one of the canals there, just north of Landmark Ranch Estates. We'd like to connect that canal to the south into Landmark. We're waiting for that property there just west of the red line to come in to give us the balance of the easement area we need to put in a canal, and that's on our planning books. But in the interim, we're going to work this year, actually, to put in a swale, because we do have adequate easement area to put in a swale, which may not be as effective as a canal, but it can still prove very beneficial in allowing relief for that canal, because that gate does stay closed. move water to the south, and some of those properties as well there experience some significant flooding, and they would get some relief as well. So we're going to be working on that this year. There's a culvert here that we'd like to replace, 24-inch pipe that's been on our CIP for a couple of years to increase to a 48-inch pipe. And then this is just an overview of the entire basin with all those improvements in to show you some of the linkages that we'd like to try to achieve over the next couple years. And finally, this is another canal in our Basin 8, and our facilities report had shown this as a goal to try to link this canal into 172nd Avenue, because you can see the gate there at the upper left. When that gate was closed, the water used to run straight north and right into the C11. It was a nice discharge point, and now the water has to snake all the way around and horseshoe all the way back south, then east, and then north. So we'd really like to reestablish that shorter discharge route for that canal. And that location is not fixed. I don't want anybody to think that we're running a pipe or anything. It's to be determined, but just the idea of trying to make a connection there in the future. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions anyone might have regarding
Steve?
some of the projects with South Broward.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Don't really have a question. I just wanted to just make a couple observations. Kevin, I appreciate you being here and all the good information. One of the things that I always appreciate is your partnership and South Broward Drainage District's partnership with our town, and the projects that we see that are most important. You always have a good interest in them and pick up on them. I really feel like the money that is provided and partnered with is always well spent, and just really appreciate that. We really, in the last 5 to 10 years, we've seen some major improvements in the drainage of our town, and a lot of that goes towards South Broward and the partnership that you all have had with us. The specific projects you've got up there are, there's not a single one of them there that I would say, we really don't need to do that, and that's the great thing, is it's all important projects and all money well spent. So appreciate your work on that, the board's work on that, and their support on those projects, and it's been excellent in all that we've accomplished. So thank you.
Anybody else on the council?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, I'm going to ditto what Steve said, so I'm not going to repeat it, but absolutely everything he said goes without saying. We've got a great relationship. Since you came on board over there, it hasn't always been that great, but it's improved dramatically, and we thank you and appreciate all you do and all your help that you contribute along the way and what you do for us. I have a question for you, but you're probably not going to be able to answer it tonight, and it's on a different topic, so to speak. I don't know what the title is. Your dam or culvert, it's not yours, it's South Florida, it's out west in front of like 202. That's right there.
In the C11?
It's on the
Across
C11.
the C11, yes.
Yeah.
That's their seepage structure.
Is that what it's called, the seepage structure?
Seepage control, yes.
The town has been trying for a few years, or quite a few years, and we were going to attempt to get a bridge built across the C11 because we own on the other side for a horse trail, and people like to ride on the other side. And Weston wasn't really keen on restriping Bonaventure Boulevard to allow horses to go down and across there. So I guess my thought process is to ask you what we need to do to approach South Florida to possibly ask them if we could ride horses across that, whether we had to add any additional security or some fencing. Obviously, if there's some cost involved related to us being allowed to use it, I know it's not near your purview, but I'm here kind of asking your guidance or expertise, and you might want to talk to Andy after the fact to find out how we might pursue that in some fashion. I don't mind meeting with Weston ourselves as far as getting them that they're on board with it, but all we need looking is for an access to get across the C11 there with horses and whatnot. So anyhow, that's just an outside thing. Don't expect you to answer it tonight, but just put it in the back of your mind to.
Be happy to coordinate with the administrator on that.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, Kevin, for all the projects you've listed there. It's very informative, and it really shows, you guys are moving, you're concerned about every drop of water and how it's moved, and it really shows, and our town is draining better now than it ever has in our history and in the history of this whole area. And so I just want to say thank you.
Yeah, Kevin, how I feel about you, and Bob Bush and I go to all your meetings, so we can, but what some people don't realize, and you correct me if my figures are wrong, I think you got 95,000 units in that district, right? And we're only 4,000 of them, I think. Are those approximate figures right? But so what I'm bringing out is we're just such a little part of what y'all do, but we get a lot of attention because of the way our property is laid out, and we appreciate that because in the past it's been a problem and we've had a lot of flooding, but since you come on board, it's been a completely different thing. So I really want to thank you, and I know Bob Hartman, who's the chair of our Drainage Committee, I know he's going, and I'm going to let Bob talk a few minutes after you get through too. So, but anyway, we want to thank you for what you've done here because I go to your meetings. I know there's all those commissioners sitting there, and one of them particularly draws that out to you a lot of times. There's only 5,000 of those people over there, but there's 90-some thousand over here, and you handle that real well for us, and we appreciate it.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And I do want to recognize as well the input that we do get from the Drainage Committee. That is very helpful, and it helps us to understand where your priorities are and helps us to make decisions and spend the money in the best way that we can. And I think we have been successful in getting some good improvements done with the funds that we spend. So I appreciate all the input as well from the town.
We thank you for all the work you're doing for us, Kevin. Bob, you want to make a quick statement?
Yeah, just a quick comment. I'm not Bob Hartman, chair of the Drainage Committee. A lot of people don't realize that the town has very limited funds to make drainage improvements to the South Broward Drainage District portion of the town. The great partnership, and it's been phenomenal for 5, 7, maybe 10 years. It helps our town take what limited funds it has and multiply those. Sometimes it's a dollar for dollar match. Sometimes it's professional services that the district provides, but it makes our dollars go a lot further. So I just wanted to recognize Kevin and the agency for that. Thank you.
Thanks again.
Vice Mayor, if I could, just I wanted to make note that a couple of the projects you saw up there that we are doing and currently working on in conjunction with the South Broward Drainage District, they have provided in-kind services and also direct cost services on 2 of those projects, at least to date. That's Southwest 210th and the one on Dykes Road for an equivalent of about $12,000 to $13,000. That we didn't have to spend of our money, and I just wanted to acknowledge South Broward Drainage District, Kevin's involvement in that and being able to help us out financially. As Bob Hartman had said, we don't have that much funding, but just wanted to say thank you, Kevin, for that. We appreciate it. Also, if you give me just 1 second, I wanted to ask Philip Chorith, our new engineer in training here at Southwest Ranches. He's been with us now for a little over a month. Philip comes to us. He's working on his master's from the University of Miami in civil engineering. He's quite bright, quite quiet, but is also warming up to all of us. We all enjoy his company. He's a great co-worker. We couldn't have asked for anybody better to come on board. Just want to say thank you, Philip, for joining us. I know we're going to have a lot of success in the future with this.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks again for Kevin for coming. Before I open up the public comments, I want to recognize Asher Knight. He's here with us tonight. Asher, you got anything new to tell us or something? Give you a few minutes.
Well, it's not exactly, Vice Mayor and Council. I haven't got anything really concrete yet to offer. However, I just want to remind you that, that on the 14th of November, we'll be having our classic car show at the barn in Rolling Oaks, and we hope that it's going to be a monster event. So we're working on it, and by next meeting, we should have more details for you.
Thanks
Thank
for all the work you're doing, Asher. We appreciate it. All right, next will be public
Freddie,
comment.
if I could add on to there. Most everybody knows, but those of you that don't, Asher Knight is a former council member, 10 years up here. So I just want you all to realize that, those of you that didn't know.
Okay.
Vice Mayor, we have one speaker tonight, Newell Hollingsworth.
Newell Hollingsworth, 199th Avenue. Tonight, Doug brought it up about the dam they have over across C11 and at the trails, and I'd like to put a little history to that. That is one of the orphan projects I have been working on since, if you'll remember, our 5 bridges that we were going to put, and then it was 4, 3, 2, 1, then 0 across the C11, covered, all that sort of stuff. Well, I decided that after seeing a horse almost get hit on Bonaventure Boulevard Bridge, that I would see if I could get things changed. First, I thought, well, the simplest way is we just change the lines on Bonaventure Bridge and make a trail with concrete abutments like there is on this bridge right here into Davie. And so I went to town administrator and told him what I wanted to do, and he said fine. And had to get Broward County, because it's Broward County Road and Bridge, authorization. Well, I thought it wouldn't be any problem whatsoever. Well, we find out that since the bridge is entirely within Southwest Ranches and 75 feet to the north of it is within Southwest Ranches, that yes, we do have authorization, and it took some time to get Broward County to admit that that was our bridge and not Weston's bridge. It is now our bridge. But the 130 feet of white line that goes to the intersection belongs to Weston. And you have to get Weston's authorization to change the white lines so we could change the lane over the turn lane. Well, Weston refuses to give us authorization. They think it is perfectly fine the way it is. They don't have any horses in Weston, and that was their reply, exactly. So, okay, number 2, let's try the dam. I see semi-trucks going across that filled with concrete barricades that they stored on the north side in Weston. They went the 75 feet beyond and then went into Weston and dumped them there. So we couldn't say, gee, it's ugly, move them. Well, after long negotiations with them and requests in writing, South Florida Water Management came back to us and said, no, you can't do that. That's our...
Go ahead.
Can I continue?
Yeah, go ahead.
You can't do that. And the reason is Homeland Security. Someone may want to blow up that bridge, and the security they have on it means that it can't get blown up the way it is right now. So anyway, that is their reason, and that is their logic, and we can't use that bridge. So the third option was get the state to build a bridge across, and the logic is that that area back over there between Ronnie's house and the C11 canal is all going to become a wetlands area, and it's going to have horse trails in it, and that's on the on the docket, and jogging trails and everything else in it. So we figured the state, since that's a state land, connect it for where the horse trails are going to be, to connect it to where the horses are. Well, this year we put an application in with the state to fund a bridge across, but that didn't go anywhere. And keep your head down. And so that's where we stand on that. Weston won't let us move the white lines. South Florida Water Management won't let us use their bridge because of Homeland Security. And the state won't fund a bridge across the canal. So that is exactly where we are, and it has only taken me 3 years to get to this point. So if anyone has any other solutions, I would be more than happy to hear them. And if you would, give them to Doug.
We're going to keep trying. No.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor, we had 2 final speakers tonight, and under the rules, anyone else who wants to speak would be at the end of the meeting if there's time, and that would be Debbie Green, and then followed by Bob Hartman as the final speaker.
Debbie Green, 5201 Southwest 199th Avenue.
A little close.
Over the last couple weeks, I've read some stuff and just in hearing, and I just don't know what is, about possibly the CCA and stuff coming back up and extensions of whatever the town granting. And I haven't seen anything addressing it at all on any of the agendas. Maybe I missed it, but I just haven't seen it. So I just was wondering if any of you could address if there is anything going on right now to share it, because I think way back when, I mean, before it was a dormant issue, so it wasn't discussed till the whole brouhaha started. And I would really hate for that to happen again. So if any of you can address if there's anything going on, especially back when we did discuss it when it came out, those out west who are most closely affected by it were overwhelming against it. I know fiscally it may be, the town sees it as a positive, but just if it's been an agenda item and I've missed it, I apologize, but if someone can just address it. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie.
Close enough?
We got you.
Bob Hartman, 5441 Southwest 198th Terrace. I wanted to, you all will probably talk about the Country Estates Park grand opening this Saturday in your comments, but I just wanted to mention to the public that Country Estates Homeowners Association is actually being allowed to have a little booth, but we think we're sponsoring it as well. But the important thing to know is we're going to have some raffles and some prizes. We're trying to do some fundraising out there this weekend. So one of the prizes that should be interesting to most people is a Deluxe Keys vacation. It's the rental of not a rental, but you'd win a condominium down there to use for a period of time. So I want to let everybody know the raffles are going to be $10 a piece, but expect we should sell pretty quickly. So come on out, enjoy yourself, and of course enjoy the town's hospitality. That's Saturday morning from 10 to 12. Thank you.
Any other key? That's it. That's the end of, Bob, you're next if you want to, because board comments. You got anything on your drainage board? Any other board members' comments? Okay. Okay, now it's time for council comments. You want to start off, Steve?
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Yeah, I just was going to say the same thing with the grand opening of the Country Estate Park. It's been a long time coming, but it's great to see it all come together. It'll be exciting to get everybody out there on Saturday at 10 o'clock. I think it'll be fun. There'll be a DJ there. There'll be a lot of stuff going on. So just encourage everybody to come out and enjoy it and really get familiar with it. You know, sometimes you see the park there and you never get out there to use it. But once you've been on there and you see it and you get to really experience it, then it becomes a little bit more real to you and you think to use it more. So come on out. It'll be a good community time. A couple other things that are going on. I wanted to bring everybody up to date as far as the Tisdor project, which is the townwide road repaving. We've now completed our our community meetings with the groups out west that, for the area that's going to be paved first, which is 205 and west, and so that's exciting to see coming together. We'll have the documents pulled together and start getting the bidding done, and we anticipate the actual paving starting probably around in November, December of this year. So it's exciting to see that get kicked off. We've touched on it a couple of times here tonight already. I just will touch on it one more time, that we had hoped to get some funding from the state for some projects out west, the lighting that's out there and potentially the guardrail. So all of that was vetoed at the last second, which is unfortunate. I don't think there was a good reason for vetoing it. I think it falls under the category of politics as usual, which is a shame. But I know we'll try for it again. We'll look for other ways to get that done. But unfortunately, that would have been a good way to get some of those projects completed, and unfortunately, it did not happen. And then the last thing I want to touch on, Debbie, I'm just going to kind of touch on the CCA thing. We have, it's not been an agenda item, but we have kind of gone through the explanation before. And the situation there is that, CCA is a property owner out there. And they needed to renew their plat. And so that's just something any property owner would do. And so they went to the county to do that, and they asked for a letter that, we didn't object to it. We gave them the letter, we didn't object to it, as we would to any property owner in here. It's just the fair and the right thing to do. As far as I know, there's no project in the works. There's nothing that I've heard of that is moving that project forward in any way or fashion. And that's I think where the genesis of that came from. So, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Doug?
Yeah, the only thing I want to bring up right now is there's a meeting at the MPO. Freddie sits on the MPO for us, and on July 9th, this is regarding the park and ride at Griffin and 75. It's not funded, it's not getting built, but we don't want it, Davey doesn't want it, we've both done resolutions against it, and we're trying to get it taken off the map altogether, because if we don't get it removed from the map and some money happens to appear, it could get built. So the meeting is on July 9th in the morning at the MPO, and I'm going to tell you the address. And anybody that can make it out there would be greatly appreciated to oppose this park and ride. It is, the MPO is the Trade Center South, 100 West Cypress Creek Road, Suite 850, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 33309. That's at 9:30 in the morning on July 9th. So anybody that can make it out there would be greatly appreciated. Any residents that are retired, have the time, the day off, would be in support of making this item go away and not be around for a good long time. So I just want everybody aware of that. So anybody that can make it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Is that it? Doug?
That's it.
Gary?
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Good evening, everybody. Pretty much everything I had has already been discussed. I do want to add one other thing, and that is we're having a 4th of July celebration in the Rolling Oaks Park. The whole town's invited. It's being put on by the Rolling Oaks Civic Association, and it's being held from 11 to 3. The volunteer fire department will be there with chow, and we have all kinds of games set up with trophies and prizes and the whatnot, from three-legged race to watermelon contest to balloon tosses to what have you. I know the ladies in Rolling Oaks are cooking up a lot of stuff right now for that. And we just recently, it's being held till 3 p.m. so that everybody can go home and go to their fireworks displays and things of that nature. And we just recently sent out an email blast at the request of some residents and homeowners associations to make sure everybody remembers that we have a lot of four-legged family members, and unfortunately, at certain times of the night, it almost sounds like a war zone, and it doesn't go well for the animals, and we need everybody to consider that, especially if you're setting off not proper illegal fireworks near barn structures or horses, things of that nature. It doesn't work very well for them. So just want to make sure everybody understands that in a caution, and we'll probably send out another blast before the 4th. So, and that's all I have.
Okay. Well, quickly, I don't have that much other than, Doug told you, I sit on MPO, and at the last MPO meeting, Mary was there to promoting widening Griffin Road to US 27. In my understanding, and Andy, correct me if I'm wrong, we have a resolution right now supporting that, right? The one you showed me? The resolution supporting widen Griffin Road.
No, the council has not, as of this moment, has not passed a resolution.
Don't we have one old one on the books or something?
No, we didn't. We actually scheduled that as a discussion item last year.
Oh, and it
to
didn't
hear
go
from our
no further.
residents, and I think we had 2 residents who came out and spoke in favor of widening Griffin Road. We had 2 who spoke in favor of leaving it the way it was, and based on that information, council elected to leave things as things were for the time being.
Yeah, I can tell you from sitting on the MPO, after Mary got through talking, one of the members, I guess he directly pointed it to me, I wanted to know if we had a resolution. That's the reason I come back and research it and see where we stood on it. But I wrote most of my newsletter on that this month, so it'll kind of bring you up to where we stand on it. But right now, there's no action on MPO to do it. Okay, we got any legal comments, Jeff?
I'll be brief, Vice Mayor, just to also elaborate on what Councilmember Bright Cruz said to Debbie Green, to make sure that everyone is on the same page. As he said, CCA is going before Broward County to extend its plat. The town of Southwest Ranches has nothing to do with that. It's going directly to Broward County. But I do want to make it clear, because people ask, the only reason why the CCA issue was an issue with the town is because the town, they were looking to the town to be the contracting party with the federal government to get the jail facility in the town. CCA is still actively looking for a development partner for that property. I don't want anyone to think otherwise. It's their property. That's what they're looking for, a development partner. If they should find one, the only thing that would come before the town is a building permit. They have an approved site plan on the books. They have a plat on the books. So we would get a building permit. It would be nothing that would ever come back before the town council. The only thing that would come back before the town council is if they had a deal with a federal entity to build like they were looking to do last time, where the town would have to be the contracting party. So they have the property, they have the right to develop a jail facility there, they have an approved site plan, they have an approved plat. So I just wanted to elaborate a little bit further on the comment.
Thank you. Okay, administrator comments?
Yeah, thank you, Vice Mayor. I'll be very brief. You've all done a very good job of covering my topics for this evening. But one, just I'll add to the party that we've got scheduled for Saturday. Town staff has been doing a great job in preparing for the opening of the park. We've had a very good working relationship in partnering with the folks from the Country Estates HOA, and we look forward to having their involvement with it. And we have a special secret thing that we're working on that George Morris is involved in. We have a whole new way to display the plaque for this park. So if you weren't going to come out, you got to come out just, if nothing else, you got to come out to see how that plaque is displayed. George has got a video on his phone, but you can't show it to anybody until after Saturday, George. There was a comment on our budget items. We had about $600,000 that were in the state budget this year, which unfortunately we fell victim to the governor's pen. That was punitive politics at its best. I think the governor cut, I believe, $461 million in projects, the two of which were ours. So we will certainly be back next year and give that another go. Just a reminder that following the close of tonight's meeting, I will be on vacation. I'll be a phone call away, but I'll be out of state. I have an early flight tomorrow morning. And last but not least, you've all been anxiously awaiting the status of our irrigation in town and what Luke's had turned over to Prestige and where we are in that process. I have that information hot off the press. It was actually just completed while we were having the volunteer fire meeting. But before you all leave for tonight, I have a memo for you that'll give you some status update that you can read through, and then we can have discussions on that following. And that completes my report, Vice Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. All right, our next item on the agenda is item number 10, a resolution to the town of Council Bluffs Rancho for approving a comprehensive proposal for town-wide tree trimming by, so read the resolution, please.
A resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving a comprehensive proposal for town-wide tree trimming by Prestige Property Maintenance and providing an effective date.
Is there a
Motion
vote?
to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve in second. Andy, you want to explain it?
Yeah, if I may, this is an optional service that's provided for in our landscaping contract when we went out for service, when we went out for bid and awarded that contract from Prestige. This is to serve roughly 20% of the town's tree in public rights-of-way and on public property. It's roughly 1,900 trees. When you do the math on this, it comes out to about $10.62 a tree, which we believe comes out to exactly $10.62 a tree, which staff believes is a very good price based on our past experience in bidding tree trimming, and staff recommends approval. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, is open to the public. Anybody on the public want to make a comment?
Noah Hollingsworth, 199th Avenue. I hoped Andy would have explained the discussion we had the other day, but now we will talk about it on camera. If you'll take a look at the numbers on the contract per park and per item, you'll see basically three things. You'll see the list of trees that should be there and the work they're going to do for each park, and then the staffing. And you have the person who's going to actually do the tree trimming, and then you have the oversight, the town arborealist, and then we have a dump truck. So what we have is, excuse me, I forgot to turn that off. What we have is $7,000 plus of dump truck. Also, take a look at the very last page of that contract, and you'll see that all fees and permits and inspections are not covered in this contract, so they're extras. Now we'll go back to the dump truck. If the dump truck's filled up and taken to the dump, there's a fee for dumping. You'll pay that fee in addition to the rental of the dump truck. The person that will say where to cut the trees is $7,000 also. So you have $7,000 for the individual who will say, cut there. And you have $7,000 for a dump truck and an individual to drive the dump truck, which is $14,000 of the $20,000. So the actual tree cutting is only costing $6,000. I think that is ridiculous. I think that is extremely overpriced. And this is exactly the same piece of contract that was put in for Luke's. Yet we went out beyond that in the past and got bids which were lower than the contract, which is this exact same contract. So why is this a good deal except unless someone's lazy sitting on their ass? And we already have a town person licensed to take care of the center thing, individual, the point where to cut the trees. And that is part of their job in this town. So $7,000 should be cut right out. $7,000 for the dump truck is excessive beyond hope. And $6,000 for cutting the trees is another thing. And now the last part. You've got a bunch of dead trees in there that should have been part of the cleanup. Removing of vines should have been part of the cleanup. Or are we paying twice for it?
All right, Noah, you get
Throw this away and do it over, send it out the bid, but this is a piece of junk. Thank you.
Any more?
Okay, this is my stock and trade, guys. I don't know how you want to look at this, but here's the bottom line. Bottom line is that the tree trimming guy has to be licensed and has to carry all the licenses required by Broward County, which includes arborist. Because it's broken down like this does not necessarily mean that you're paying the way it's broken down. My question would be this. I know when I go to bid something, I look at how many trees I have to trim, and there is a bottom price. I can either give you the price broken down per tree, or I can give you a price for the whole job. I can say it's $25,000 to do 400 trees, or I can say to you it's $15 a tree. I'm going to haul off the material, I'm going to dispose of the material, I'm going to chip it. We have done this just recently, and they went along volunteer, they went in Rolling Oaks, and they trimmed all the trees professionally and chipped it all up, cleaned them, and we're gone. So they're using their truck, they're chipping it up, they're hauling away the debris, it's all included in one price. It may be a little confusing the way the bid is, the way it's set up, but that's the bottom line. So I guess the question you want to ask is, how much is it costing you to dispose of, how many trees are being trimmed, and what is the cost? That's the bottom line. If you had somebody come to your place and you have 50 trees and they look at them and they go, okay, we're going to aerate and trim all the trees and it's going to be $15 a tree. That doesn't mean that they're going to spend $15 per tree. There may be a tree, there may be 10 in there that are $30, and then there may be 10 in there or 20 in there that they can do for $2. It really is a broad stroke of the brush when you get a flat fee to do something. So I don't agree with Noel. It's just, I happen to do this for a living. So I can tell you that's the way it is. The only question you should ask is how many trees are they doing? That's the bottom line. Thank you.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
Good evening, Barry Nunzig, 163rd and Sterling. I was reading this townwide tree trimming, and I hope that's true. I know that they put trees in on Sterling Road in the median, the 10-foot median. They put oak trees. Those oak trees are going to, they already are impeding on the traffic flow. You actually have to drive around them if you have any type of trail that has any type of height. Roadways are supposed to be clear up to like 15 feet, from the edge of the road straight up 15 feet and all the way across. Legal height of your 18-wheelers is 13.6, and you need clearance above that because you can't be trimming trees every day. So recommended is 15 feet from the edge of the road straight up. You have Sterling Road has a problem there. You have 148. They put all those oak trees only about 10 feet from the side of the road on the east side. They're all going to be going into the streets. I don't know who owns the west side of the road. They're already over the road, and it's a problem. We have people in this town supposed to be looking at the trees and telling people where they can and where they cannot plant them. Somebody's failing to look at the big picture, and they need to do that. They need to just, everybody loves trees, and that's great, but you have to think about everything else that's going on, such as traffic and power lines. You get a lot of people putting trees under power lines, and we know what happens when we have a storm. So the tree trimming, I'm all for the tree trimming. You guys need to make it so that they do take care of everything in the roads. Thanks for doing something.
I learned a new thing a month or so ago. It's called a letter of no objection. And you remember me telling you it sounds like a trick? I guess it was a trick. You guys filed a letter of no objection to CCA. And you know how many people were interested. We're property owners too in Southwest Ranches, believe it or not. There was all kinds of us out there. This is one property owner we're talking about. That letter of no objection.
Hold on a minute.
Flag.
Hold on a minute. You're talking on a different item now than what we're discussing here.
But I made my point. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
There's no further comment. There's a motion and a second on the table.
Yeah. Any more comments from the floor? Any more from the council?
I'll just say that I do support this, this item. This is a good comprehensive view at the town of cleaning up the trees and doing the proper trimming. We do have an arborist, a certified arborist on the staff, but that person does a lot of other things too. And so the time it would take to kind of babysit this project is there's a lot of other stuff going on. I think Gay, you make a good point. It was you can't break these things down by parts like that because it's a full project, and you have to look at how much are we paying and what are we getting for it. That's the bottom line, and I think this is a good value for the town, and it's something that needs to be done.
Go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, I'd just like to jump in and add a little bit to that. We do, December's clearly overloaded. She does lots of other stuff. She will be, when these things get done, she will go out and inspect it to see that it was done appropriately, everything's done right, or it doesn't get paid for. So we do go behind them after the fact related to this and confirm that the work was done, or we just don't pay them. So I just want everybody to realize this. We don't take their word when they come in and say, here, cut me a check, we did the work. We go out and make sure the work was done. Thank you.
Anybody else? I just got one quick comment on this, and I don't know how many people drive down Dykes Road, but December had a bunch of oak trees planted in there quite a few years ago, and they've been doing quite well, but they need trimming. All the suckers up and down those trees, I know, I grew trees, and you got to trim all those suckers off of those trees, or it's never going to make a tree. So there's a lot of little things out there that has to be done. All right, anybody, have we got a motion on this?
Yes, we do.
Any other, want to call the question?
Councilmember Brightcrus?
Yes.
Councilmember McKay?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisickelli?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Our next resolution is, excuse me a minute here.
Item 11, Russell.
CAP, number 11, resolutions of CAP contract renewal. Russell, you want to read it, please?
Sure. A resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving the first modification to the town's new agreement with CAP Government, Inc. for plan review and building inspection services, to extend the contract for an additional 3-year term and clarifying the town's fee for projects valued in excess of $25 million, directing the appropriate town officials to execute the first modification to the agreement and providing for an effective date.
Motion approved.
Did you want to explain it any, Russell? Did you?
No, Vice Mayor.
Okay.
Just a straight up
So-
renewal.
The motion is to,
Wait a minute, there's a motion on the table, but not a second
anybody
yet.
made a motion yet?
I did. I made a
Second.
motion.
Steve made a motion, Doug?
I made the motion, Steve
Steve
seconded.
seconded, okay. Any public comment on this motion? If no, any further comment from the council? Call the question, please.
Councilmember Brightcrus?
Yes.
Councilmember McKay?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisickelli?
Yes. All right, we're on item number 11.
12.
We didn't,
Vice Mayor.
Item
No, we
12,
haven't
the
done 11
minutes.
yet.
That was 11.
no, 11 is is the CAP contract.
That's what we just did.
That's what you just approved.
That's what we just did.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought we were still on the tree trim. I'm behind, excuse me. I'm not used to this. Jeff is better at this than I am. All right, number 11, resolution for CAP contract.
No, we're now on
renewal.
number 12,
12.
which is the minutes.
Approval of the minutes. Need a motion and a second, please.
Motion approved.
Second. Call the question, please.
Councilmember Brightcrus?
Yes.
Councilmember McKay?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisickelli?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
December, all we got to do is get you.
Yeah, Carlos will. He's not here. I'll get him to come here. No.